The prosecutors in my office are among the most talented and experienced in the Department of Justice. They have investigated this case hewing to the highest ethical standards, and they will continue to do so as this case proceeds.
A case so solid with so much integrity and the highest of ethical standards that Jack Smith attempted to conceal nearly all of it from your view. Meanwhile, our current president, who illegally possessed classified information, stole some classified information from a secure setting, kept information that is top secret and relevant to his presidency, according to Congressman Michael Waltz, and was caught on tape sharing classified information, got up on stage on Saturday night and mocked Donald Trump's legal troubles, as his political opponent faces a number of cases that all have some bizarre connection right back to his White House.
Donald has had a few tough days lately. You might call it stormy weather.
The arrogance, simply stunning. Nearly as stunning as the details of this Biden-led legal assault on not only his opponent, but on our democracy, the thing Biden pretends to uphold in nearly every speech he gives. Beginning just days after Trump left the White House, the general counsel for the National Archives, Gary Stern, had a meeting with Joe Biden's deputy White House counsel, Jonathan Suh. Over the course of the next 2 years, Gary Stern would meet with the White House nearly 20 more times as NARA, the National Archives, and the DOJ worked to prosecute Trump, while exonerating Joe Biden for more egregious crimes with classified documents. All that happening at the same time. Stern met with the White House the day before Jack Smith announced the Trump indictment. Now, it's clearer than ever this is a coordinated political assault at this point, with everything we've laid out here thanks to all of this transparency. Joe Biden aware of what's happening and just complicit enough to avoid very obvious scrutiny. Joe Biden is a president, of course, with a huge advantage, a media that shares his agenda, a media that defends him endlessly and hates Trump with the same vigor that he does, a media that doesn't scream fascist when Biden's DOJ is caught again and again covering for the Bidens, Joe, his family, while assailing Donald Trump. And on Saturday night, Joe Biden praised our fake establishment press corps, the corrupted, soulless purveyors of his horrific agenda, the least popular president in American history, standing in the only room where he is beloved.
A defeated former president has made no secret of his attack on our democracy. He said he wants to be a dictator on day one, and so much more. In the age of disinformation, credible information that people can trust is more important than ever. And that makes you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, makes you more important than ever. So tonight, I'd like to make a toast to a free press, to an informed citizenry, to an America where freedom and democracy endure. God bless America.
If you're actually paying attention to what's happening right now in this country, that moment should make you physically sick. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch. He joins us now, and I want to talk more about what we've learned here from what Eileen Cannon has revealed. It's amazing what's been exposed in just this one case and just how filthy this case is.
Well, we've seen this from the get-go. We had asked and pursued a lawsuit over these exact documents, got the Stonewall, but we did get documents initially showing that the Biden White House was helping move this case against Trump along. And I don't know how many meetings you need to have with the White House and archives and the special counsel and Justice Department before you realize that the Justice Department independent investigation of Trump was about as independent from the Biden White House as the DNC is independent from the Biden White House. It was hand in glove. And to me, it's a further indication of the vindictive, selective prosecution targeting Trump. You know, this archives treated Bill Clinton with kid gloves because we saw it directly. They argued with us over tapes he had that were seemingly classified in part, but then they did a 180 to go after Trump. And we see they did it with the support of the White House. The raid on Trump wouldn't have happened without support of the White House. Of course, it stands to reason that a former president subject to criminal investigations never seen before in American history the idea that that would be done without White House involvement at the most senior levels, it's obvious that's what happened, and the documents show it's proof positive. And by the way, Mr. Smith I just love him talking about all his expert prosecutors working for him. Yeah. He's trying to hide the names of the senior prosecutors who are working for him from Judicial Watch. He doesn't want any of those names disclosed. Yeah. Why is that? Secrecy upon secrecy. Very unusual for criminal investigations of this nature. And kudos to Judge Cannon for doing this. Right. They're hiding the names of witnesses. There are other pleadings that need to come forward, so we get a full view of the corruption behind the Justice Department persecution of Trump.
It's very obvious that at some point, the people that actually run this country made a decision that they could not stand, no matter what the American people want. This man, they could not stand anymore. And they said, they were going to abandon all of I think some of the most important tenets of this country to just destroy him. And now they're facing, I think, the backlash of it and the exposure of what they have done here in those years after January 6th, which, of course, as we know, was the greatest political moment for the Democrat Party and for the establishment that they could have imagined for. Does it feel to you like that there are indications that that they knew this indictment was going to be weak, that Jack Smith knows how weak this case is? They just wanted to get another indictment on him, even if it didn't go through, because this case specifically it just looks really terrible. How do you convict espionage if Jack Smith knew that you had the government telling you to go pick up these boxes 7 months after you left the White House, and you were already working on charges at that point? And there's a very good chance that they told him to come pick up boxes that had classified information in it. The case is dead.
You would think. It's just another indication it was a setup from the get-go. They set Trump up almost immediately with the partisans at the archives pretending that he had documents he had no right to, which wasn't the law and it wasn't the legal position of the Justice Department previously. So they fooled Trump and his people initially. And of course, then Trump started figuring out maybe there's something going on here, yet he still cooperated, but that wasn't good enough for him. And I know Smith was desperate to get this indictment because I was involved in this grand jury process. They sent the FBI come knocking at my door before he was appointed, and then they're like, okay, well, you can come and talk to us informally. You don't have to come before the grand jury. Smith gets appointed a few weeks later, and all of a sudden they did this remarkable turnaround. Oh, forget about that promise to come talk informally. We've got a grand jury. And of course, I went in and told them they were all wet, but of course they didn't care because it was all about getting Trump. It was like going before an MSNBC panel, those prosecutors, as opposed to any fact finder of that you could be assured that there was justice being fairly administered.
And, you have to wonder. I mean, we have some transparency here on this case. First off, how does Eileen Cannon not dump the case after what we've seen? The optics look so terrible. It looks so fascist to have Biden get off so easy for this, Trump facing prison. But also imagine if we had this transparency in the other Trump cases. Imagine what Juan Merchan is concealing, potentially about Alvin Bragg's case. He doesn't give one legal victory to the Trump team. How dirty these cases all are.
Tell you, if Trump is elected president, if I were him, I would appoint a special counsel to investigate all of this. Yeah. This grand conspiracy against him to deprive him and other Americans of their civil rights under color of law, and the Justice Department, Fulton County, up in New York, they should all be brought in and be subject to a full federal civil rights investigation over this election interference and targeting of American and other targeting of Trump and other innocent Americans.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the media's reaction if he pulls that move. They go nuts over that. Tom Fitton, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.